Hello and welcome to Out of My Mind. My name is Robison Wells, and today we're going to be answering questions. First question, what was your reaction being diagnosed with OCD, and was it a relief? I don't remember a specific day where I was diagnosed with OCD. I think that I was diagnosed with the severe anxiety, and over time my psychiatrist saw that I was OCD, and eventually I just was. However, there was a very specific time when I was diagnosed with schizophrenia that I remember very clearly. I was with a new psychiatrist who I went in and I told him I had OCD, and he looked at the symptoms and he said, "You have got schizophrenia." And he had a little speech prepared that he probably uses whenever he diagnoses someone with schizophrenia, which was basically, "This is okay. Having this diagnosis doesn't make you a bad person." He said, "You are the same person today that you were yesterday." As for it being a relief, I think that it was a relief because, not at the time, because it was very scary when he first said you've got schizophrenia. It freaked me out. But having a proper diagnosis meant that I could get the proper help and I could be on the right prescription. So in that case, yes, it was a relief. Next question, how did you get your agent? I got my agent, Sarah Crow, through my brother. He was her agent, and he talked to her and said, "Can my brother send you his book?" And so I sent her a query that said, "My brother said that I can send you a book." I want to make one thing clear, though, is that when I say that I got my brother's agent, yes, it was very convenient that my brother had an agent and that I was able to get on with her, but 60 to 70, maybe 80% of the authors that I know who have agents got their agents through networking. That is, I think, how most people get agents, is through networking rather than through slush piles. Question, compare and contrast Diet Coke and Coke Zero. Diet Coke is content in being its own Coke, whereas Coke Zero is trying desperately to be regular Coke, and it will always fail. Question, did your mental illness affect your relationships when you were still single? I think that my anxiety problems did damage my relationships because I was always worried that the relationship was not what I wanted it to be, and so I became very needy. Question, is caffeine a psychotropic drug? A psychotropic drug is any drug that alters your mental state. Caffeine absolutely does that. It makes you more alert. Am I addicted to caffeine? Yes. Is that bad? Probably. But am I going to cut back? No. Of all of the problems in my life right now, caffeine is the least of my worries. Question, why do you think debut authors are such a big deal? I think that this comes from a publisher wanting someone to hit it really big out of the gate. I think that they're looking for that one person who can launch their career and become a huge name overnight, rather than taking someone who's already established and then building them. I also kind of wonder if sometimes publishers want debut authors because debut authors are still very starry-eyed and might not fight back as much on some things. Maybe that's a little cynical of me. I'm not accusing any publishers that I can think of off the top of my head of being predatory in any way, but I do wonder if debut authors are a little easier for an editor to work with. Question, will there be a variant movie? Probably not. Question, having lived on the reservation, do you have an opinion on the use of peyote for psychiatric purposes? I am always wary of the idea of self-medicating through drugs and alcohol, which I worry that would happen with peyote. But if it were researched and regulated and legal, I would have no problem with people using peyote. Question, are you an outliner or a pantser? I am absolutely an outliner. Heavy outline, chapter by chapter, scene by scene. I want to know everything that happens before I get there. Question, was it hard to switch from the LDS market to the national market? For those of you who don't know, I published 3 books in the LDS market, which is similar to the Christian market. The first one was a romantic comedy, and the next 2 were political thrillers. Switching to the national market was not a big change because I was already making a big change in that I was going from romantic comedies and political thrillers to science fiction. So the fact that one book had religious elements to it and science fiction didn't have religious elements to it, that didn't make it any harder. Those are all the questions for today. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to subscribe and give us a thumbs up if you can. Thank you so much. We will see you on Wednesday.